Okay, so I am going to try to do the 21 questions. This is probably like my fourth or fifth time, guys, trying to do this for you. YouTube is on crack with me lately, so so let's hopefully this will work. So the first question that I'm going to take is from D Renee Ray, D Renee Ray, off my Twitter, and it says, what is the best way to help and or console the friend who constantly complains about and deals with being in a tainted relationship without being too harsh or overbearing? Keep in mind this friend stays in a stressful, crying, and contemplative suicidal state. And she says, oh, and too harsh and overbearing about them leaving, that is. So I'm from what I'm getting is you have a friend who constantly complains to you about a relationship that they're in, and you already are telling them that they should leave, but you don't want to be too harsh about that because they're always upset, always emotional, always contemplating suicide. A couple things. Number one, if you seriously believe that they're seriously contemplating suicide, I would do whatever possible to get them some professional help, because that's nothing to play with. Number two, I'm not sure what tainted means. So I don't know. I mean, I know what the definition of tainted is, but in this scenario, I don't know if you're saying to me that it's an abusive relationship or it's verbally abusive, mentally abusive, physically abusive. I don't know. I don't know what the context of the relationship is when you say tainted relationship. So that in itself will determine the level of harshness that you have to use. Also, also you gotta ask yourself, okay, so if they keep coming to you and you keep saying you need to leave and they don't leave, I don't know what else can you do, because people are only going to leave a relationship when they're ready to leave a relationship, unfortunately, no matter how much we know that they should do it before that or not. So then you have to make a decision for yourself. Okay, well, how much am I going to keep listening to this if it's not going to change anything? So you may have to say, okay, so look, I'm tired of hearing about, Jack's ass every day, and you refuse to pack your shit, Jill, and leave. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that kind of goes into that, and also the nature of your friendship with the person that's coming to you. I can say some things to some friends, well, one way, and then I can't say them to others in a different way. So it just, there's a lot of factors in kind of what you're asking me. I don't think there's a right or wrong or a definite, hey, this is the best way, because there are too many variables. Um, but I think those are kind of the things that you have to address, and then before you can know how to properly go forward. Um, the next one is from CM Writer, also off my Twitter. Says, what do you feel people want from you, but you're unwilling to or incapable of giving? I would say number one on that list is trust. I think people want me to trust them, specific people, as well, and it's not something that I'm willing to do, and I don't even know that I'm capable. I mean, honestly, most people would think I would say love, but that's not true. I'm perfectly capable of loving. I have the absolute capacity to love and do love. Um, Getting me to love you is easier than getting me to trust you. So I would say trust is number one. Um, the next question is from Chris, and I want to see, yeah, Christopher. You hate to like me, off my Twitter as well. And it says, do you think you will one day find that man that can make you believe in true love? Um, I believe in love. Now, when you say true love, I don't know if you're talking about the fairy tale kind of love, because I don't really believe in fairy tales, as y'all know. Um, I believe in love. I believe in true, absolute, pure love, um, and have had that um, in my lifetime. So I don't know if you're asking me, will I one day meet a man that makes me want to experience that again? But, you know, I do believe in true love. I don't believe in fairy tales. Two different things. Uh, Mr. Anonymous, off my Twitter as well. I can't remember whether you said to address you by name or not. So I'm just going to leave it anonymous, but you know who you are. I will DM you and let you know that this question has been answered. What are your turn ons and turn offs? Um, Turn on in terms of yeah. So turn ons, absolutely love a man who can lead, who's very secure in himself, who's confident but not arrogant. Just a little slight touch of self assurance is great. Um, I love a man who isn't intimidated by my strengths, um, intelligence, verbal communication, verbal sparring, verbal spewing with me is absolutely a turn on. If you can give me a little quid pro quo, if we can exchange, go back, a little smart acidness is always great. Yes, I said smart acidness. I know it's not like a real word, but that's my word. Turn offs for me, just the normal bullshit, just the people who approach, kind of with the same lines, and it's, all physical, and it's superficial, and it's fake. I can't stand fake. I'm all about people being real and being true to themselves. I don't like pretenders, because I don't pretend. I don't like liars. Those are turnoffs for me. Gaudiness, flashiness. I think that you can do even expensive without it being gaudy. I think that you should do it classy, so to speak, if that makes sense. Simple, elegant. I love those things more than the things that scream at you. I'd rather be whispered at, if that makes sense. Moving on, next question. And I'm gonna edit the name out of this. My niece asked this question, so she knows the name of the individual that she's asking about. But she's asking me, was the person that I just finished dating, was he the best sex I'd ever had? And I would say that he definitely makes the top 3. And the difference after that isn't so much physical as it is the emotional that kind of goes along with it. So definitely in the top 3, and I haven't taken the time to go back and re-rank the top 3 to say, okay, this was the absolute best sex I've ever had in my life. I will say this. The night before the last night that we were together, sexually, intimately, was one of the best nights physically I've had. But anyway, like I said, top 3. Next one. I was having a conversation with mathematics off my Twitter, and he was talking about, my 21 questions, and he said, that people come to me for answers to life and their feelings, and he says that what I say impacts your lives. I don't really know that. I don't really know that it does, but he asked me, he said, does it ever scare you, the responsibility of it? And my answer to that is no, because I'm just one person and I'm just giving my opinion. And if it resonates with somebody, if it means something to them, if it helps them in some way, then that's great. But I don't sit back and weigh and go, oh, if I say this, they're going to do that, or going to do that, because I'm not responsible for how much weight you give my opinion. It's just one woman's opinion. And I don't answer these things based on a thought that I know everything. I've just made a lot of mistakes. So a lot of times my opinions are because I'm trying to help you not follow the same path that I've already gone down, if that makes sense. So no, answering questions never scares me. Neither does the responsibility of it, because the receiver of the response determines the weight that it carries in their lives, not me. And I'm just being me. I'm just answering from me. The next one, and I don't remember whether you said anonymous or not, so I'm gonna leave it anonymous. But I will call you by your nickname for me, Burgundy. Burgundy asked me, is a relationship worth fighting for if the spark is gone? Depends. Because the spark, I believe, is the stuff that you feel in the very, very beginning, which oftentimes does fade over time. When you first have that spark with someone, when you first feel that little tingle of love, it's so strong that it overshadows everything else. It makes all your problems seem minuscule and minute, and you just don't want to focus on anything but the good. And as time goes on, that good, you start to see everything else that kind of comes along with it. And the sun doesn't shine quite as brightly over here anymore. So now the sun's not shining as brightly here. And then that means you can actually see the other problems that you were ignoring before because you felt so good. And so here's what I would say, more important than the spark, because we create our own sparks. There are ways to take time and to do things with each other that creates that spark and that feeling again. It's about the core. It's about the foundation. It's about the things that make the substance of the relationship. And if the trust is still there, if the communication is still there, if the respect is still there, if the love is still there, and you just need to generate a spark, then yeah, I'd say fight a little bit. Next question from Thunder. Being that you live your life for the most part as an open book, and being that you are already a household name in Charlotte, I don't know that I agree. Would you do a reality show if given an offer? And the answer is yes. We've actually talked about this, and it's a possibility. So yes, that's the answer. Next question, and this one is anonymous. I recently received my bachelor's degree in an area I have wanted to work in since I was 16 years old. I'm having a rough time finding a job. What would you suggest to help me in finding a job in the human or social services field? Um, hmm. I mean, I don't know why I don't know why you're having a hard time finding a job in that field, because it's one that's definitely lacking, and that needs more people with good heart. I would do a couple of things. I would look for private agencies too, not so much just the government social services that we all think about, the Department of Social Services and all that stuff. I would look at some of the private sectors that are out there. There are different organizations, like CASA is one that has a lot to do with children and social services, and when they're placed in homes and not in homes, and things like that. So I would look at some private organizations that are involved in um, in 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 mentoring and in nurturing and that type of deal. So I would explore kind of my options and not just be looking at social services as what we normally think of it, would be my first thought, without talking to you further one on one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this video, because they're 15 minutes long or so, and we're at 12 minutes. So I'm going to, because this next question is going to take me a minute, I'm going to stop this one, and then I'll post this one while I record the next set of questions. So be right back.